Good afternoon. My name is Buffy, and you are tuned in to the Recovering Perfectionist Mama Grace in Progress podcast. So, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Happy to have you. Just to give you a little bit of information about who I am and why I have a podcast, I'm a women's lifestyle creator on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, covering topics such as health and wellness, fitness and nutrition, mental health, lifestyle hacks, biohacking, cycle syncing, self-empowerment, self-improvement, parenting, marriage, all the topics that concern women, as well as career advancement and things like that. So today we're going to talk on the art of becoming. Who were you before the world told you who to be? Who were you before the world told you who to be? Before the expectations, the titles, the noise, who were you at your core? This episode is about the sacred process of unbecoming, peeling back the layers of conditioning, perfectionism, and shoulds to find your way back home to you. Welcome back to the Recovering Perfectionist Mama podcast, Grace in Progress. I'm your host, Buffy, and today we're diving into something raw, honest, and necessary, the art of unbecoming. This is for the woman who's done everything right, checked every box, fulfilled every role, and still finds herself asking, why do I feel so disconnected from who I am? If you've ever felt like you've lost in motherhood, marriage, work, or just life, this one's for you. The weight of who we become. From the moment we're little girls, the world starts handing us scripts. Be nice. That's one that definitely resonates with me because I was raised by my grandmother and she always said to be nice. But what nice got me, and I don't think she realized this because she also endured this as well, was you became a doormat. You became the object of bullies because they knew that you weren't going to be mean to them, that you were always going to be nice. And somewhere along the way, that got really old really fast. But I was so conditioned to think that nice was what I should be, that that's what I became. And I became the perfect kid that did what I was supposed to do. Not always. I did have a rebellious streak. But I ultimately wanted to do what was asked of me. I sought approval at all costs. And I don't know how many of you can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of you can at this point, just because it's just so ingrained in women. Versus we want our boys to be strong and robust and rebellious almost, but not our girls. Be quiet, be helpful, be productive, be pleasing. And we spend decades mastering the art of becoming who we're supposed to be. But here's the thing, that version of you, the performing you, often gets built over the bones of your truest self. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you silence the intuition to fit in, every time you shrink to make others comfortable, you bury another piece of who you are. And ultimately for me, that is not acceptable anymore. I am not the nice one anymore. I am the one that when I've had enough, I've had enough. And I use my voice for others. I use my voice for myself, not as often, but I'm getting there. And that's progress. The art of unbecoming begins when you start noticing the weight of those layers and ask, which of these are truly mine? Signs you've outgrown an old identity. You know it's time to shed an old version of yourself when you feel restless or uninspired by the things that used to light you up. You crave solitude or quiet because your soul is tired of performing. You start questioning long-held beliefs or routines that no longer feel aligned with you. You're uncomfortable, not because you're broken, but because you're evolving. Unbecoming isn't rebellion, it's remembrance. It's realizing that maybe, just maybe, the version of you that once kept you safe is now keeping you small. The process of unbecoming. First, awareness. Begin by noticing where you've been performing. Where are you living out someone else's expectations? Journaling, therapy, and self-reflection are useful tools and powerful tools here. 2, permission. Give yourself permission to not have it all figured out. Growth often looks like confusion before it becomes clarity. Release, number 3. Let go of labels that no longer serve you. The perfect mom, the people pleaser, the strong one. You're allowed to outgrow your own narrative. 4, rediscovery. Explore what genuinely brings you peace, joy, and energy. Reconnect with the small things that feel like you. 5, reintegration. Unbecoming isn't destruction, it's alchemy. You're not losing yourself, you're reclaiming the most authentic parts of you and weaving them back into your present life. Remember, unbecoming is not an overnight act, it's daily practice of awareness and grace. Redefining success and self. As you shed the old layers, success starts to look different. It's not about perfection or performance anymore. It's about peace. It's about waking up and knowing you're living in alignment, not obligation. You begin to trust your rhythm. You begin to love your reflection, not for what she achieves, but who she is. Because the truth is, who you really are was never lost. She was just waiting for you to stop performing long enough to remember her. Closing here. So today, I want to leave you with this. You are not a project to perfect. You are a masterpiece to remember. May you find the courage it takes to unbecome everything that isn't you, and the grace to return home to yourself. Who were you before the world told you who to be? This week's episode of Grace in Progress is a soul-level deep dive into the art of unbecoming, which we've talked about. Shedding old identities, rewriting your narrative, and rediscovering your truest self beneath the noise. It's time to stop performing and start remembering. Listen on YouTube at recovering_perfectionist_mama. And tag this episode in your stories with something you're ready to release. Let's create a movement of women unbecoming everything that they were never meant to be in the first place. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, I appreciate your time and you tuning in. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.